All right, welcome. We are finally to the Bond movies. We have done the Bond actors, the Bond women, the allies, the henchmen, the villains, the songs. Think that's it. And now we're finally to the movies. So, again, I watched the movies over like a month or so. It's probably been a couple weeks since I finished. So, like the most recent ones have faded back into the memory with the other ones to be a little bit more fair in the rankings. But we're going to follow the same S, A, B, C, D tiering that we've done with the others. Mostly put them in the ABCs to start and then move them as I see fit as we go. I struggled with how I'm going to rate these. I honestly, like as I was watching, didn't really like compare them too much. I wasn't like, oh, did I like that more than the last one? It was pretty isolated. Like, did I like that one or not? And then over time, as you think about them, they change a little bit. I think like I kind of let it simmer in my head, and then some you remember more, some you remember more favorably, some not so much, and that'll ultimately probably be where I land. But for the most part, the easiest way that I'm going to think about it is: did it entertain me? Would I want to watch it again? Um, and did I think it was good? Like, I'm not going to say it's the stupidest movie and I still was entertained because that happens sometimes. But I'm not necessarily looking to say, oh, it's the best Bond because it's the most well made or it's the biggest budget or it's the closest to the books or whatever. This is truly going to be like on watching value. What did I enjoy? I'll probably, with these, I'll do my best to try to remember plot, to try to remember Bond himself, the music, the girls, the villains, the henchmen, all the stuff we talked about, because they all do play into it. I don't know how much they factor in like the weights of how much each variable matters, if you will, and it might vary by film. I don't even know, but I'm sure as I talk through it, I will figure that out. There's a darn good chance that I am going to forget some of the things that happened in these movies that was important, or even hopefully not, but mix it up with another one if it's like a similar plot point, because frankly, some of these have similar plot points, or similar henchmen or similar villains in some regard. But we'll do my best not to. All right. Um, Dr. No. We start with Dr. No. Dr. No is what, 1962. So you're early in the 60s. I think this was lower budget, the lowest budget of all of them, which makes sense. It's the first one. You get Connery in, and try it out and see what happens. So interesting start because you start with the Bond theme, which became the classic that you carry throughout the rest. I know I didn't rate that because it's just its own thing to me. But it has the classic gun barrel opening to start. It's got the Three Blind Mice calypso music a little bit after the Bond theme, so there's some music there. But a cool start and just an interesting kind of like feel into the movie with the assassination and everything. And then you get to Bond being revealed at the blackjack table. I don't know what they were playing back then. I don't think it was poker, but Bond, James Bond. I think was he in the white tux then? I think maybe, but super classic, classy looking. Now I had seen some of Doctor No when I was young. It was always probably just little snippets here and there because I could like piece together parts that I'd seen. Like I remember seeing Bond at the table at the beginning. I remember Quarrel a little bit from the middle. I remember the dragon, the metal dragon thing, and then for the most part, I remember like him finding Ursula Andress on the island, and then being on the island, and then them going and being in Doctor No's lair and all the interactions. So it was good to see the rest of the context. Like I did not remember the beginning of the whole like scientist guy. Is it RJ or whatever his name was, and like Bond having to track down because the guy got killed at the beginning. Didn't remember any of that. So that was cool. So the plot was actually better than I remembered. Like it had more to it for him to get to the villain, which was good because in my mind the movie was just kind of this simple like, oh, bad guy on an island and you just go try to get him. So it was nice to see some of that like spy stuff a little bit teased. The women in this were beautiful. Ursula Andress obviously was Honey Rider, but then there was like Miss Tarot and I can't remember the other girl's name. She was in a couple movies. The other girl, but good girls. There weren't many like henchman type characters, but they did tease, just that there's help and these guys might try to take you out. I did like the whole, you think Coral's a bad guy kind of thing, and then he ends up, oh no, once we talk to Felix, we know he's on our side and all that. So cool stuff there. And then you get to Dr. No. And I thought Dr. No was a good villain. I thought he was cool looking, cool sounding. I thought he, was cool with the hands. I know these were based on the book, so some of this you just got to give credit to the book. But other things, they did a good job with directing and just kind of foreshadowing. His hands matter, and then you get to the end, and I did like that he fought. You don't see that with all the villains where they're like, gung ho to try to get Bond. Sometimes they do, but other times they're a little trying to run away. So that was cool, and then he ends up, falling into the nuclear reactor or whatever, water. So that was cool, and then watching him escape and have the whole, exit with the girl and getting rescued. So set up a lot of stuff for future Bond movies, probably other movies within the era. Became, well known and classic. I truly don't know. I didn't go look at like how successful any given movie was, what the budget was, but I would assume it was like, oh, this was, definitely good enough to start a franchise. And then they really seemed to spend a little bit more money and time or whatever in From Russia with Love. But I'll give this an A. I think Dr. No was a really good start, an interesting movie, and I wouldn't mind watching it again. I should say too, like one of the scenes I didn't know about that I still remember, just popped into my head again, was just him getting picked up at the airport and driven by Jones or whatever the driver was, and then it turning on Bond and him having to get out of that. Like those are cool scenes. So appreciate the things this did to set the stage for other ones. All right. So From Russia with Love, the second one in the series, certainly expands the rogues gallery kind of deal you get at the beginning. Kromstein, something like that, the chess player. It was a cool start. I definitely saw this movie when I was young. I don't know that I remember most of it other than the chess scene, like at the beginning. I remember Rosa Klebb as a classic character. And then I remember everything from like the train scenes. So when you get to the end and you have, the different train car conversation, dialogue, you have the fight with the briefcase, you get the little turn the top a little bit so it blows up. If you don't, you'll be fine. So that was kind of cool. But Red Grant was a great side villain, like the blonde-haired henchman dude. Was more than just being a big galoof, right? Like he was a good counter to Bond and like played off, and it was a good spy movie, really, is what you could call it. The girl in it was good. Tatiana, I thought, was good as a kind of naive agent. Like she was an agent for Russia, but was being tricked by Rosa because Rosa had left Smersh, though everybody didn't know that, and so she was with Spectre. I always thought, I think I mentioned this in her movie, I thought it was cool how Rosa would be really authoritarian to people who reported to her or her, underlings, and then anytime she's around Blofeld, she's like super tense, rightfully so, because this guy's just willing to kill whoever walks in the door and failed him. So cool little thing there. And then she goes for it at the end when things fail. She tries to kill Bond and ends up getting taken out. I think Tatiana actually gets her, which is done again, I think later on. So kind of cool that you've got, the spy thing all the way through. You've got these henchmen. Everything kind of feels resolved. There's good, action scenes, and the music is good. Like the beginning is more of the instrumental of From Russia with Love. But the theme throughout, the score throughout is good. So yeah, I thought everything about that movie was really solid. And that was one of those movies, like I said, growing up that I would remember about Bond. I'm going to give that an A as well. All right, Goldfinger. We get to the third. Goldfinger is my most memorable Bond movie growing up. I had, you see it on random, times on the TV back then. You had like TNT, TBS just playing movies all day, and Goldfinger might be on. They might have a couple other Bond movies on, but very memorable. Or Goldfinger is a very memorable villain and had a very memorable song at the beginning. Uh, it was also in Kentucky, which is close to where I grew up, close enough to where you're like, oh, I know that place. I've been to Louisville. I live here now, but it's like, that's kind of cool. And the fact that they have all these locations, and I think they really started to hit their stride with location type stuff. Maybe also in this From Russia with Love, but I really remember in Goldfinger just kind of feeling like they were moving around, and um, you know, you, I really liked how they teed up Goldfinger. Like he's not just in some bunker somewhere trying to take over the world. He's out trying to screw a guy out of cards. So you're like, okay, what's this about? And then he ends up, having bigger master plans, but he goes and plays golf with Bond and tries to cheat, and Bond tricks him and gets out of that. So that was funny. You had Odd Job, who was super intimidating. You had the Fort Knox scene at the end. So a lot of awesome stuff with Goldfinger. Um, there were some things like I did not remember that. I don't know if I missed that part of the movie. It just blocked it out of my head. But as I watched again, so like there's this scene where the girl gets covered in gold. Classic scene, classic picture. What's on the screen. And so she is killed. And what I didn't know was that like her sister shows up, and they're like going after, trying to solve this thing, and she ends up getting killed. Like they have a chase, and then she ends up, Ajab ends up hitting her and killing her with the hat. And so I was like, oh boy, totally didn't realize that. And then the only other a little bit of gripe I have about it, not a gripe, but just like Pussy Galore, I didn't think was a super great Bond girl. And the way they handled her wasn't all that great. I know there's like some criticism about Bond sleeping with her and like changing her mind, the way that it happened and everything. And I'm like, yeah, it's probably pretty fair. I would have preferred, and maybe if I watched it again, I'd see that they did this, but I don't think they did. It's just like you could give her an underlying subtle reason to feel like she's questioning this, right? Or like something Goldfinger does where it's like, this is not good. This is worse than I thought. I thought we were going to do something else, and now we're this. Again, maybe they did, and I just didn't catch it. But I think that would have helped to be like, oh, you didn't like change your mind because you slept with Bond. It's like you just slept with Bond because you were attracted to him, and really your mind was already made up. But the other thing that I totally forgot about this movie, because I was like, wait, what happened to Goldfinger? Because all I remembered was them fighting in Fort Knox with the door closed, and like Odd Job and Bond fighting, and he throws the hat and gets electrocuted eventually, which I thought was a cool fight scene, because I think if I remember, they don't really have music or anything playing. It's a very quiet and echoey fight. Like you just hear the echo within where they're fighting, which I thought was cool. But anyway, Odd Job gets taken out. They end up miraculously defusing the bomb at the last second. But then I was like, wait, Goldfinger, did he get away? And then I realized he, put on the uniform, shot his own guy, left, and then Bond's relaxing, heading home, and whoops, Goldfinger's still there, comes in. Bond tells him not to shoot. He shoots the window out, gets sucked out the window. And I was like, oh, I did not know he died by falling out of a plane. I wouldn't have gotten that on a trivia question. So good to know. But Goldfinger was a classic for me. It was growing up. I'm glad that when I watched it again, it was reaffirmed that I really liked that movie. Classic scene too, didn't mention it, but just the laser scene, I remember for sure. No, I expect you to die is a great line, maybe the best line. And unfortunately, he relents and lets him go because he knows the name of the operation that's getting ready to happen. So yeah, Goldfinger, very good. We're starting off very strong. Thunderball. I think somebody told me that it was like the highest budget one by then. So I'm sure they were just like going up in budget. And I would imagine it, because watching it, it felt big. Like there were big underwater scenes for long periods of time, which I'm sure couldn't have been like easy to do. and there was just a lot of like set pieces and a lot of stuff going on with this. But I think Connery was still good here. I know as he goes along, sometimes it's like getting a little tired of this. Getting typecast, which is why you see it eventually go away and then come back. But I think he was still strong here. Um, the villain Largo was not really my thing. I thought he was okay. I didn't think he was like bad by any stretch, but I thought they could have done more with him. There were some times where it was a little endearing, like when he's throwing guys into sharks. I'm like, okay, that's mean, that's good. But other times I was just like, yeah, he's kind of bland. The music was pretty good, but I thought it was just not quite as good as it should have been. Like I like Tom Jones, but the Thunderball song was like not quite as good as the Goldfinger song and kind of similar in my mind. The theme was kind of not as clear to me, and you know the movie, maybe it was because some of the things were underwater. They just spent so much time there, and I will just say this: that part bored me. Like anytime they were underwater for a long period of time, just like get this out of the way because I'm like done with it. That said, I thought the girls in this were great. I really liked Fiona to start. She was just a nice like femme fatale, trick Bond and try to take him out. But ultimately, she got spun around and shot, I think, by her own henchman. But she was good, and then Domino was great. I really liked Domino. So those two kind of saved a lot of it for me. Um, it was kind of funny at the beginning because Bond was like getting older, and they said I think this was the one they sent him to the spa for drinking and smoking too much or something. So he was recovering, and he got stuck in that machine, or they tried to kill him. The other henchman tried to kill him, and he got assassinated, I think. So a lot going on, and then they get to the end. Largo has his big yacht. He is trying to, I think they had nuclear missiles or something that they had stolen, and he's trying to like get away. And I feel ultimately like his ship gets taken out, and I think Domino, again, like from Russia with Love, I think Domino kills Largo with the spear gun. Uh, Pretty sure. Because I thought Bond was dead. Who would have thought he survived so many times where it's like, just shoot him. But yeah, he ends up living, and he and Domino survive and escape. So that was good. But Thunderball was okay. It was not my favorite. I don't really want to rewatch it. If I did, again, it would be like the girls or the more important reason than anything else. Um, I'll have it as a B for now. We'll see if it sticks. I gotta again calibrate with the others. I um, might change it, but and I didn't say it at the beginning. I've said it on the other ones, but S tier is the like best of the best. A is really good. B's a good movie. C or a movie I like. C's it's okay or I don't remember it enough, and then D's like nah I don't like that one. So Thunderball was okay. It was pretty good. All right, You Only Live Twice. So, interesting movie for me here. I had not seen You Only Live Twice. I think I didn't say it, but I had seen parts of Thunderball growing up. Again, the underwater scenes, remember that for sure. Largo, remember the dude with the eye patch and the white suit. I remember that, but not much else. You Only Live Twice. I don't remember it all. Um, I do think, and I didn't say this in Thunderball. Like the other thing that I liked about it, and it's only going to like lead into to this is, I really like the Blofeld in Thunderball, and I know he's hidden, but I like the like I'm in the lair. I have all my people in the lair. Number two, and holding a meeting and being in command. I really liked that Blofeld. So we get to You Only Live Twice, and this is set in Japan, which I'm a huge fan of, like Japanese culture and stuff. Was cool setting. And I also acknowledge like this, and I can't remember what year that came out, but it's not all that long after like World War II. And if you're like, oh, but it's like 20 years later, it's like, well, it's 2026. You think 2006 feels like super long ago? I don't, but I'm old. But anyway, so I think for a lot of people that was kind of an exposure to more Japanese culture than they may get elsewhere. But it was cool to see like sumo and sake and other things, the kimonos and everything else, and he had met the agent who was over there who I think got killed. I can never remember. I feel like he did. But it was cool to see that. And you had like Japanese Bond girls in it, and so like I enjoyed it. Like it was good to see it. That said, I felt like it was kind of forced by scene. Like it's like, see, they have sumo. See, they have this, and I was like, it just doesn't feel as like naturally flowing to me. I don't know why, but it just kind of felt like it at the time. You had Blofeld again as the overall main villain. You had Helga, who I failed to mention in the Bond girl video, I think. But Helga was the girl who jumped out of a plane. She like had Bond in the plane, jumped out of it, and he survived. But she jumped out. Osato was the Japanese businessman kind of guy that Blofeld, had under his wing, and then he ends up killing Helga. I think in the piranha. I think it was piranhas, not sharks this time, but piranhas. He thought it might be Osato, but it was her. Then he kills Osato at the end. I'm pretty sure Blofeld gets him too. But the music was okay to start it. You Only Live Twice was a fine song. The themes and stuff were okay. I thought James Bond looked, and Sean Connery looked a little older. I don't mean that as a character. I mean like didn't feel as invested in this one, and it's just like a little more wooden. And I'm like, oh, he doesn't have his like standard, suaveness slash whatever bravado. I don't know what to call it. But that kind of was lacking. And then I thought the Bond girls were just like, okay. I mean, I get that they, it's good that they used the Japanese girls and things, but there was Aki, who I think was an intelligence agent and then got killed, that he was with, like in bed, if I'm remembering that right. And then the other one was Suzuki, who was the girl he had to like marry to go to the island or be on the island. And that's when they put him in like Japanese makeup to make him look Japanese to be on the island. I didn't buy it. I guess other people that live in Japan totally did, but I saw right through it myself. I don't know what that was, but you also had what's like a gyrocopter or something, where he's on the little thing flying around looking at the volcano, finds the volcano. So all that was like a little campy to me, and I was like, this is okay. Then you get to the lair. I thought the lair was really cool, like in the volcano. The set design and stuff was super cool. Kind of gave you like an immense feeling, and I believe this was the CIA or somebody coming in and helping him. I like those endings with Bond where there is help, because some of it you're like, how in the hell would you be able to do all this with a billion people around? Now sometimes you can sneak around and get some stuff done, but like, I mean, there are a lot of people with guns there and not much cover. You're just out in the open looking like the guy who works there, hopefully. But anyway, I thought it was cool. The fight was cool. It was big. You did have Blofeld in it, and this is the first time you actually see Blofeld. This is the Donald Pleasance Blofeld that is pretty famous. You got the eye scar, you got the cat. He is a little jarring for me when I watch it. Again, I hadn't seen this. My Blofeld memory was really Blofeld, you couldn't see his face, cat guy. My biggest issue was his voice was too high. Now I can understand, like the other ones, maybe he's using a voice modulator to sound more intimidating and stuff. It's fine. Like that makes sense. But it wasn't as commanding a presence as I would have hoped for a Blofeld. Now spy, cool, trying to be quirky villain, fine. Again, some people probably love it. It's awesome. I didn't think it was bad. I just thought it was a little different than what I would have hoped. He also had like was this the one with Hans, the dumb henchman? I really didn't like him either. So those kind of things within it I didn't love. But it was okay. I will give You Only Live Twice a B. I enjoyed it enough that if you said, hey, we're going to watch You Only Live Twice, be like, yeah, let's give it another shot. Like I want to see kind of what I missed and how I, may have overlooked some things in there, because it was enjoyable enough for sure. Okay, now we get really jarring. We've got On Her Majesty's Secret Service. I have no idea what I'm going to say about this one. I've got to kind of think about it as I go. Um, so we switch. This is George Lazenby now. Sean Connery is out. Sean Connery, I guess, tired of the role, wouldn't get paid enough, whatever. Um, so fine, we've got to find a new Bond. They go with let's try to make him look like a James Bond. Dark hair, brown eyes, dark eyes, whatever. And he is George Lazenby, the model. He's kind of like a model. He's not really an actor, um, but physically kind of big, stronger, imposing looking dude. So that's good. And then had to go into a difficult role. Like I imagine they assumed he was going to be there for a while, like do a few. I don't know that, but or if they knew Sean Connery was going to come back and play Bond, I don't know. But every time the Bond switches, it's an adjustment period for me. Like I realized that. Now I had not again seen this movie either growing up. I'd heard of George Lazenby. It was kind of always the guy who shouldn't have played Bond or whatever you want to call it. Growing up. But I started the movie. It's like him following the girl. She's walking in the ocean. I'm like, what is she doing? He ends up saving her, and then he gets attacked, and then he fights him off. I'm like, okay, he's pretty physical. That's kind of cool. And then they have like a wall breaking scene where it's like, oh, well, not like the other guy, and I'm like, did I really need that? Like, I didn't. Maybe other people did. I don't know, but it just took me out of it for a minute. The other thing that I really struggle with, of all the movies on this list, the only one that I went back and watched a couple scenes from was this one. Because what I struggled with as we went farther along, I did not know what this movie was about. And I get to the end of the movie and he's married and his wife dies. And it's like this super consequential thing, not super, but it's mentioned later. It's like a thing. And I was like, man, I really don't remember her being significant. Like a love interest that's more significant than any of the others that I've seen so far. And we're only, a few movies in. Um, so I was like, well, let me go back and watch. And what I realized was, probably didn't pay enough attention during like a montage scene where they're just walking through gardens and riding horses or doing something. And it's like, oh, okay. I guess they fell in love, kind of you know, whisked away and went and got married after that. But at the beginning, it's actually not that. It's that the guy who's not necessarily a good guy, he's like a mob boss or something, asks Bond or wants to pay Bond to marry his daughter because he's the only one that can like get through to her. And I don't know that. Again, that was another thing. I was like, I don't know if that was earned. Like, where did that come from? I don't know. And so I kind of struggled with that, tying all that together. That said, there were some things in this movie that I did like. I enjoyed some of the scenes. I enjoyed the skiing scene. Like that was the first one I think of Bond skiing and tacking guys and like guys falling off cliffs and stuff. So that was cool. And then I actually liked the scene where he was just like sitting there trying to figure out how he's going to get out at night at this festival or whatever, and he's exhausted. And she shows up. Now, coincidence, I don't know, whatever. But once the scene started, it was kind of cool. Like the car chase around the ice and trying to get out and like getting chased. Like I thought that was pretty memorable and pretty fun. I always forget the name of the girls up at it's like the Angels of Death or Angels of something, I think. But the whole plot was like that there was this biological agent they were supposed to go disperse, and Blofeld was the villain. They were led by Irma, I think it was Irma that managed the girls, and she played a big part because she's the one who ended up shooting Tracy Bond at the end, like driving through at the car. I think she got away. Like we never heard about her again, right? So kudos to her. She might have been the most successful villain in the whole franchise. But yeah, so Blofeld is different in this one. Which, okay, we've already changed Bond. Why not change Blofeld? It's a different personality. It's Telly Savalas. He's more gruff. He's more, kind of sinister seeming than kind of silly seeming. Um, so he's pretty good. I mean, as Blofeld, just like with Bond, it's hard to shift my mind to be like, okay, this is Blofeld. This is Blofeld. But still pretty good. And there was the whole like, I think this is the one with the bobsled chase scene, another one that's memorable. So a lot going on. The music was fine. It's another one where the opening is just an instrumental, and then I think there's Louis Armstrong singing, and I cannot remember the name of the song, but some love song because it's a love story that ends in tragedy. The last thing I'll say about it is just the ending was hard because I didn't feel the emotion of it that I should, right? Like I don't know if it was that his acting was too wooden or something in reaction to it, or they hadn't been married long enough or been really together long enough for it to hold like an incredible amount of weight that I'm supposed to feel. So I didn't really buy it. And in the end, I kind of realized it's because it's not Sean Connery. Like I'm like, I because then I would have known he had these other relationships before, and he finally got to this girl, and there was something special, and I would have probably seen it and been there. So I hate to have that level of resentment for changing the actor, but it does exist in my head. That said, I don't know that it's like a bad movie. I enjoyed it. I'd probably watch it again just to see how it goes. We'll start it as a B. There's a chance some of these might move down as I get farther along, but I'm trying to be a little fair. All right. So now we get to Diamonds Are Forever. Sean Connery comes back. I guess the contract dispute, or they pay him a lot of money, whatever it is. Um, very jarring film from a tone perspective. You go from On Her Majesty's Secret Service, which is just like a serious spy movie for the most part, to a goofy movie. And I don't know what drove that decision. I don't know if people were like pissed that the other one, had changed and then it had Tracy die and all this, and people were like, we need something that makes us feel better, or if it was just the times, right? It could be that Vietnam War was going on and they needed something campy or whatever. I don't know. I can't remember the years even that this one came out, but for whatever reason they did it, and it is a little jarring, but I don't know that it ruins it for me because once I got adjusted to it, I enjoyed some of it for sure. Um, the song was fine. The music was fine. I did think the plot was a little boring from, the diamond heists, and they're creating the laser in space and all those things. But the most jarring part of this for me was the beginning, was the Bond Blofeld revenge tour to start the movie. Because again, it felt like now it had flipped. I'm like, wait a minute. You weren't married. George Lazenby was married, in my head. It's like he should be the one going and killing people and finding Telly Savalas and kicking his ass. But it wasn't. And so we actually have a new Blofeld again. Now, the good news is that was a double. So we didn't kill Blofeld early on. We still got him. But it was a very fast like retribution tour, and then he just goes on his next mission. The girls in this are hot. You had Tiffany Case as like the main girl, changes her hair and all of these disguises and things. And then you have Plenty O'Toole, which I mentioned in the girls video, but the criminally underused. Beautiful girl, finds in the casino, goes up, just gets thrown out the window and then killed later. But I was like, okay, well, that was a quick one. But that happens. There are some of these movies where you're just like, wait, what was that? You weren't even hardly in the movie. But Diamonds Are Forever has Mr. Kidd and Mr. Wint as well, two kind of famous or infamous, depending on what you think of them, henchmen, where they're brutal. Like they are, for a campy movie, they are murderers. They will go out and kill people trying to like uncover the smuggling ring or whatever. Very memorable. They call each other Mr. Kidd, Mr. Wint the whole time. Everything's a little bit of a joke. And then they come to the end, and they are the ones who try to kill Bond at the end. So you'll see that from time to time, right? The henchman is kind of the final hurdle versus the final boss, because they're like coming to get you. But Fortunately, they recognized that their waiters were not real waiters, and that I think Mr. Kid, or I forget which one was which, but that one had the shish kebabs, the kebabs that was like coming at him, and he throws the alcohol on him, sets him on fire, and he gets thrown in the ocean. The other one had like a bomb, and it got flipped over and blows up. I was like, good lord, that was a hardcore ending to that movie. So very memorable in that regard. But there were, it was, I think this was in Las Vegas. There was like the decent car chase scene. It was a little weird. He's going down the alleyway, like his car flipped to the side. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. Like, I don't think it's a great movie, but I think it was kind of fun. I mean, Sean Connery's a little older in it, but this is the last one before Never Say Never Again. But it was fine. I'm going to have it as a B. All right. These are all like going to end up as B's. I'm going to have to figure it out at the end. Okay. The Live and Let Die. Again, jarring change. You have Roger Moore. How am I going to adjust to this? Like, will he feel like Bond? Growing up, I had seen some Roger Moore. Like, Sean Connery was Bond. Roger Moore was like second Bond, but very good Bond. Like, just below him. Suave, not nearly as like physically as imposing to me as Sean Connery was, and I don't even think he was super physically imposing. It's just like even Roger Moore was even less than that. I remember scenes from Man with the Golden Gun, some with Moonraker, View to a Kill, For Your Eyes Only, maybe a little bit. But that, here and there. I don't know that there was any movie that I could have said I've seen. Live and Let Die I had not seen. I knew nothing about this movie going in. And so Roger Moore shows up. He's first got a girl in his bed, and she's sneaking around trying to get a Moneypenny hides her in a closet and gets her out to save James from egg in his. I mean, I don't know that he'd really care to have that egg in his face, but he was saved. But good start, because like almost immediately I felt Roger Moore as Bond. Like, really easy adjustment for me. And again, because I'd seen him as a kid, I'm sure that helped. So then I knew nothing what to expect of this movie. This movie's very interesting because it's kind of like, now I'm sure there's bigger things at the end, but it was kind of smaller stakes, like drug smuggling kind of deal. You had the Mr. Big, Dr. Kananga, I think was his ultra personality, but Mr. Big was like, in makeup, you could tell it was somebody else, and then in the end you figure out, it's the same person. I don't think that was like a huge shock, but one, the music's awesome to start this movie. I've obviously heard "Live and Let Die" by Wings. I grew up with the Guns N' Roses version too. Like, you hear that song, you know it. I know it outside the context of this movie far more than I know it as being in this movie. But the beginning's awesome, sets a totally different tone than anything you've heard before. You get that Bond scene, you're kind of into it. It's great. And then the rest of it is kind of fun. Like, you've got and I think the henchmen steal the show. Like, I don't think the villain is all that compelling to me. He does have, as I said, one of the better weird, ridiculous deaths of just like blowing up and floating like with helium and blowing up or something at the end. But I thought the henchmen were much more interesting. There was like Teehee, the dude with the metal arm, Whisper, the guy who like will pretend to be a waiter but hardly talks and barely talks like that. You had Damballa, the snake guy, and then Baron Samedi, who's just crazy. Like, what is that? Like, what drugs was that person on when they put that character in there? Because it's awesome. Just bizarre, deep laugh. Like, the only Bond, I think I mentioned it, the only Bond that I remember there being like any mysticism whatsoever in. And so he gets shot, but he's like pottery, and he comes back, and like, what in the hell's going on? And then you also have Jane Seymour as Solitaire. So young Jane Seymour, and she is the tarot card reader, can read the future until she sleeps with Bond, which if she sleeps with somebody, it's over, and that's what happened. And then they get caught, and they're dealing with Mr. Big, Dr. Kananga. trying to get out of that situation at the end, and this, had to use the gadgets and stuff to get out of this one. But I liked it. Now there are things I didn't like about this movie too, though. The girl who's like pictured here, who is the double agent, can't remember her name, but she always got on my nerves. I mentioned it in the other movies, like or in the other YouTube clips. She is like annoying to me for some reason. Just takes me out of scenes. Doesn't feel like a natural back and forth. I don't know if, again, the actress, whatever. But anyway, that was one thing. The other is J.W. Pepper. Now I like a good, Dukes of Hazzard show or something, whatever else that's like that. But it felt so out of place, and it was just overkill. The scene in which he came in was fun. The boat chase scene was super cool. The guy chasing him, and then he goes and gets the like best boat in the swamp or the bayou or whatever, chasing him. It was a long chase scene, but it was fun, I thought, and then paid off. But he was in it, and they just kept him in it. It's like, okay, now he's in the car with him. Now we got to have back and forth, and I get it. It's like a juxtaposition. You got the British secret agent, and what's the little, county sheriff figures out he's an agent. They're like best buddies and trying to solve world crime. But it just didn't work for me. It was like taking me out of the movie. So there's pluses and minuses. It's not an A to me, but I'll give it a B. The other thing that I thought was a little strange, I'd like to rewatch the movie again to see how I felt about it. But what I felt while I was watching it was that they were playing Live and Let Die too much. I said this in the song video. Like, it just was playing the song or some like parts of the song, as opposed to like weaving it into some sort of Bond Live and Let Die score. Maybe that's not true. And like if I went back and watched, I'd be like, oh, now I hear it. It's different than I thought. But it just felt like it was playing it over and over again. And maybe I want a more Bond theme or something at times. I don't know. But it's a great song, so I get why you would. It just wasn't the way I would have done it. All right, Man with the Golden Gun. Only thing I remember from this is Christopher Lee and the Golden Gun, and a little bit of Knick Knack. Just knew that he existed, didn't really know much about what he did. So in this movie, Man with the Golden Gun, Christopher Lee, I think, is great. I think his arrogance, his confidence was really cool. I thought some concepts of the plot were cool. Like, he's just this crazy guy that's an assassin on an island that's got a bullet with Bond's ID on it, now 007 on it. And I think it was just that his mistress had sent that bullet because she wanted Bond to come save them or solve the problem, because he was dealing this weapon around. So whatever that was, all fine. I was like, okay, this is cool. And then I liked the island. I liked the setup. I liked Knick Knack with, bringing assassins there and fighting in this like funhouse thing. It's bizarre. It's just different. It's weird. It's kind of fun. Then there was the whole like, I think they were in Japan or something, like the Japanese guy, I can't remember his name, but the Christopher Lee essentially shot him and said, I'm the boss now. But he was also, messing around with the weapons or whatever that were going on. So there was a little bit of that. I know a lot of people in this knock Goodnight, the girl. She's too aloof. She kind of just gets in the way and acts goofy. I didn't mind that much. It was just a departure from what we're used to. Maybe it was, not the best way to show an agent, a female agent acting, but I thought she was charming in a way, like in the movie, to at least where I didn't sit there and go like, oh my gosh, she's taking me out of the movie. Some others do. She didn't. I thought the other girl was just okay. Was it the Anders girl? Is okay. But I did like, you get to the end where they're having the duel and he just runs away, and then it's like the chase through the fun house and ends up getting him, getting the best of him. That's like a nice little, agent versus agent thing. The music I didn't care for. The first title song didn't care for, didn't get me into the movie. I will give them somewhat credit. I always say there's more credit if you use the title of the song in the movie, or the movie's title in the song. And she did. It just wasn't the best song. And therefore, the score wasn't all that my favorite. Nick Nack again was fun. He comes back, tries to kill Bond at the end, climbs through the vent, tries to get him. Bond gets him in a suitcase, ties him to a mast. So I think he survives. I consider him just in jail somewhere. But I thought Man with Golden Gun was okay. I thought it was fine. I will. Um, I will. I'm just gonna keep going with B, and then I'll move some down. Like I promise. I will figure it out as I go. I got to really compare them in my head, and I won't be able to do it until I see them up there somewhere. All right, The Spy Who Loved Me. So The Spy Who Loved Me was a bit of a change. The like I didn't mention how campy Man with Golden Gun was. It was pretty campy. The ending, like the girl, oh, I accidentally hit something and we happened to stop the laser. It's like, oh, well, thank goodness. So those kind of things. So The Spy Who Loved Me got a little more serious. Not fully, but a little bit more for a Roger Moore movie. So with The Spy Who Loved Me, opening song, fine, good, enjoyed. The scenery in this one a lot. There was a lot going on with Stromberg and his lair. I loved his lair, like being in there. But really, the thing I always remember from this movie is one, Jaws, and two, Barbara Bach, that Agent Triple X. So, and she was my favorite Bond girl. So is she the best actress in the world? Probably not. But I liked her in the film. I liked the character. I liked that Bond was escaping, again, a ski scene, like the ski scenes, and shot her husband, boyfriend, whatever he was, killed him. And then you have to figure that out later, right? It gets resolved. And she says, well, after this is over, I'm going to kill you. It's like, she's serious. That's pretty cool. Now, ultimately, she has a gun to his head at the end, and she can't quite do it, so they sleep together instead. So, that close to death. Instead, fell in love. Jaws was so cool, and most of what I remember from Jaws in my growing up years was Moonraker Jaws. I didn't know that, but just like seeing the difference between the two movies, it was mostly Moonraker Jaws. This one, he's a little bit more of a henchman, and he's like brutal and truly just killing people mercilessly. Love the whole like can't be killed kind of thing, fall off a cliff in a car, fall through a roof, get out of the car, wipe myself off, and not feel like I have to kill the guy, just keep walking. It's like that's a cool little touch, and he's just a very memorable character in movies, period, let alone the Bond movies. So Jaws was always a really cool one. The plot was okay. Like they stole the subs, and it was like the one of those, we stole one from Russia or Soviet Union when we stole one from US and or wherever, and like they're pointed at the other capital, and we're going to blow up the world and start a nuclear war. So I think Stromberg's motivation was the like starting over society thing. Moonraker kind of does too. I did like, so we talked about his lair a little bit, but I liked the elevator that dumps you into the shark tank, which Jaws killed the shark. Pretty impressive. I think it was like a tiger shark. The gun, like the long table with the torpedo gun or whatever under the table, was pretty cool. So a lot to like about the lair. I did say though, like I took just a couple notes about each movie of like, hey, just kind of remember this. I thought the film was kind of weak. I didn't think he was that great himself. Now, when you have good henchmen like Jaws, it's kind of hard, but there were times where I was like, he's just not doing it. Like, want to replace it with like a better version of this guy. Maybe the actor's good and he just needs a little bit more to do. Maybe we need another actor in. I always think of like, what was it, Wayne's World 2, where they have a guy at the gas station and Mike Myers stops the movie, kicks him out, brings in Charlton Heston. It's like, yeah, something like that. But that's what some of these villains, you're just like, okay, you're running the mill. But again, cool scenery trying to escape. Like Bond goes back to save Agent Triple X, was cool. They get the nuclear subs to like fire at each other and kill each other, so that was cool. So I liked a lot of The Spy Who Loved Me. I thought that was a really good Roger Moore film. I'm going to have that in the A category. All right, Moonraker. We talked about it a little bit. I think this is a pretty maligned film. Most people don't think it's very good. Um, I kind of disagree. I don't think it's a good film. I think it's an entertaining film. I think there's more to it than it just being bad, for sure. I thought it was fun. Sometimes I just want a fun Bond movie. I thought it was fun. I thought Bond going to space was kind of fun. Now, there are some things in it where I'm like, okay, how you got to space, kind of stupid. You know, climbing around in these rockets and you just go up. Um, Not the best. The girl was like okay, just kind of along for the ride. What was it, Holly Goodhead, I think, um, was okay. But I like Drax. I thought Drax was like a fun, over the top, maniacal version of Stromberg. I'd like preferred him over that because he was a little more. I don't know. Or he made it farther in his plot. They got to space. He built a space station. Nobody, for some reason, knew where it was. And then he has, all the people he's going to help repopulate with. And Jaws and his girlfriend made it up there. But then, James kind of helps Jaws realize, like, hey, dude, like, you don't have to listen to this guy. So Jaws changes and helps. I think I said this in the other video, but my memory of Moonraker is at the end when everything blows up, that Jaws sacrifices himself and his girlfriend, and they help Bond escape, and they help destroy the platform. Good news is I didn't realize there was like a little throwaway comment after the fact. It's like, oh, and there's some little capsule that got away, and I think Jaws survives. So that was fun. But Moonraker, the song, okay. Again, credit for actually having Moonraker in the song is okay. The themes were okay, but it was pretty good. I mean, some of the scenes, little too campy, little too dumb, but it was still fun. I'll start it again in the B category. We'll see if it holds. All right, For Your Eyes Only. This is a tough one for me because this movie, like, even still confuses me in my head about what was really happening. And part of it is because I was getting confused as to like what I should be looking out for as I was watching it. Like who are the villains in this? What's their motivation? What are we trying to do? It just wasn't super clear to me. And I don't know that I can even answer that now. There were things I liked in this though. I liked, again, the skiing alpine stuff is good. The girl was just not super memorable to me, but I could at least she was okay in terms of being the girl whose parents had been killed. The Gonzalez guy or whatever shot him with the helicopter, and then or the plane or whatever he was in, and then she goes and she's got the crossbow that takes out the guy to save Bond, and then they go off and do their thing. The turncoat guy, so Eris Christados, something like that. I didn't really suspect him as being a bad guy. Probably should have. Just didn't register in my head. I thought the guy with the specs was going to be the bad guy, like the main one, and then you had Eric, the East German or whatever place he's from, Olympian athlete going around trying to shoot Bond while he's skiing and those kind of things. All fine. I don't know. I mean, there were some good payoffs, but there was like a weird death in the middle where Bond was with a girl and was at the beach, and then that guy hit her with a dune buggy and she died. I feel like the dude with the glass, and then Bond kicked his car over the cliff with him in it, like threw a cigarette in it. Cool scene, Roger Moore. That's his most badass scene, in my opinion. And so that was kind of cool. But there were some fun scenes in this. The like the girl, the ice skating girl is kind of dumb. The Bibby doll girl, I think was her name. Whatever. Bond fights like hockey players in it, which is okay. Um, but I don't really remember much about the movie other than that. Like it's a hard one to really grasp. I'll go ahead and have that down in the sea, I think, because I like really don't care to see that one necessarily again. Um, oh, and you know what? I'm gonna go back to Moonraker for a second because a scene just popped into my head that because I said that's the most badass thing that Roger Moore did. I don't know. I might have it tied with when he's with Drax and they're doing the bird hunting and he shoots the guy who's getting ready to snipe him. Like you think like, oh God, he doesn't see him, and then he misses the bird and shoots the guy. Like that was pretty sweet. That was right before the Drax sicked the dogs on that girl to kill her. Um, all right. Oh, and I didn't, I keep remembering these things and wanting to mention them. Like The Spy Who Loved Me also had that crazy girl in it, didn't it? The Naomi girl, I mentioned she's in that helicopter and chasing them and they get shot and she gets shot. Like she was a good character, deserves a call out in the movies. Okay, anyway, moving on, Octopussy. So we get to this weird year where both Octopussy and Never Say Never Again come out. Bond Wars is how they called it. So Octopussy is famously known for Roger Moore being a clown, dressing up as a clown. I had seen that before. I don't think I'd seen this movie, and I didn't mention, but I definitely didn't see For Your Eyes Only. But Octopussy, I maybe saw a little bit of, if or I just kind of remember the circus thing. So I went into it thinking this is going to be stupid. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. And I think it's in the context of the movie, it makes more sense why he's dressed up as a clown. So it's not as just blatantly stupid as that. Now, there are things like him dressing up like a gorilla where I was like, you can't tell that that's a guy in a gorilla suit. I mean, come on. This is like Trading Places, the movie. But other than that, there were some good things in here. Uh, I wasn't like a huge. This is a movie where Octopussy is not the title of the title song, so you got a different song, whatever it was. I don't know if this was this All Time High. Can't remember. But Octopussy, the character, the girl was okay. I thought she was fine, but the plot and stuff I thought was kind of fun. You had two main villains essentially. Orlov, this like crazy Russian like lieutenant or something, general, who like gets pissed off with the rest of the Soviet military leaders, and it's like we need to just bomb all this and do all this. And I think the plot was that he was dealing Russian like artifacts, so they had like a Fabergé egg, and he was dealing it to Kamal Khan, who's like uh, giving him weapons from I don't know where he was from, Pakistan, Afghanistan, something like that. But it may be India. But he is Kamal Khan is a really cool villain. Louis Jourdan, I think, is the name of the actor. I thought he was fun. Like I wish there was more of him in the movie and just like more commanding. He was like pretty sinister, sly. It was fun to watch him play like what were they playing, backgammon or something with the dice, and then Bond tricks him, gets the dice and throws them, and he knows they're loaded, and then the henchman picks him up and crumbles them. So I got that's a pretty cool scene. I like the like side henchmen I mentioned in the other with the yo-yo saw guy getting mercenaries attacking. I thought that was fun. The whole I wish there was a little more to the scene where they did the like safari hunt of Bond, like chasing him on elephants and stuff. I'm like that's pretty fun. So a lot of like cool things in this. I like those scenes with animals. Like there was, I think it was Live and Let Die with like the alligators and crocodiles where he had to like run across them and stuff. So it's always cool when he's like in those types of situations, and I like it when they extend those a bit. Um, but then yes, they had the circus. Yes, they had the bomb at the circus, and he had to like convince Octopussy like, hey, these guys are backstabbing you, and this is what's really going on. And nobody believed him, and then they open it up, and sure enough, there's a bomb there. They get it diffused. So a lot of cool, fun things with Octopussy. Um, I can't remember if there was like another girl in it other than her that I would have like. The only one I can remember is like the henchman girl who really was just a henchman. But other than that, it was not too memorable from that regard. So I thought Octopussy was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm gonna have it as a B. All right, Never Say Never Again. So non-canon, non-eon or whatever it was, movie. Sean Connery comes back, says, "Screw you guys! Like I'm going to make my own Bond film. We're going to redo Thunderball. It's going to be great." Uh, Now I thought I had never seen this movie. I'm like, nah, I don't remember this movie. Uh, you know, Connery starts. Connery gets going. He's older. It's like, okay, but they kind of just acknowledge it the right way. It's like it's not too over the top, it's not too subtle. They just acknowledge he's older, but they have fun little training scenes at the beginning where he ends up getting killed. Like, see, you're done. Like you can't do this. So he has to go to the like spa. Thunderball again. Like goes and has to recover. But this one has a little bit of different things in it. Fatima Blush is a fun femme fatale, blow up his room, all those things. I thought she had a nice blend of crazy and her snakes and blowing stuff up. That was a fun side character there. Uh, and then you had Largo, who was okay. And why I say he's okay is because like I didn't ever really get the feeling of him being like evil enough. He was, toward the end, it's like, okay, you're doing your thing. But like there were times where I'm watching, I was like, he's a little crazy, but I think he actually likes Domino and loves Domino. I think he's suave enough to have all these people at his party and blah blah blah. Like, all right. But the scene that I actually remember from that movie, and I think I mentioned it, was in the other film or the other video. I keep saying film. Is the video game where he's holding the hand things and does it, blows his hand. That's the scene I remember. And I remember him asking for a dance, and I remember him dancing with Kim Basinger. And after that, I don't remember much. Uh, the movie is fine. I don't think it's the greatest, but it's fine. Like I didn't in any way think like, oh, that was much worse than I thought it was going to be, and like, why did they ever make this? Would I have rather watched Octopussy that year? Yeah, probably. But I thought Never Say Never Again was fine. So I'm gonna have it maybe around the C section. But again, once I start moving, they can move up and come down. I gotta think about it. All right. View to a Kill. We got Roger Moore back for one more time. First off, we kick ass with the song. We go to Duran Duran. We've got like the 80s kicking in and a hard rock song. I'm sure some people hate that were like old Bond fans, watching Lawrence Welk, and then you have to watch that. But for somebody who grew up later, like, yes, that was fun song. Reminded me a little bit of kicking off, he started strong with Live and Let Die, and you end strong with a good banger like that. So, View to a Kill, good songs. And pretty good in the score as well, like where they weave it in. I mentioned that with the other one. Like this one, I thought they weaved in pretty good here and there, along with the Bond theme. Um, there was, you know, Mayday being a key figure in this is somebody I remember as a kid. Um, don't know how much I remember because I don't remember like anything she did. Same with Christopher Walken. I remember Christopher Walken as being a villain, but I had no idea what he did. In fact, like I kind of before Never Say Never Again felt like Christopher Walken was the one who did the video game thing when I was growing up, but I was wrong. So the plot here was something about blowing up Silicon Valley. He had people in the blimp. The one guy, I think I want out. It's like, okay. And then Mayday, puts him down the stairs and the stairs collapse. He gets thrown out the blimp. Pretty cool. I like those things. And then View to a Kill, like, I was like, what? what's the plot going to end up being like? What are you getting out of this when you do it? So he explained his vision, and he has all this explosives and stuff to blow up the thing, and you're like, okay, how's this going to pay off? Well, it gets a little convoluted. There's like this girl, I think it was the girl who's the Stacy, who had the house, and Bond went and visited the house, and she happened to be somebody who's like hesitant to sell. It's like a business thing. So Bond gets her, they go together. I didn't really buy her too much as the Bond girl, so that kind of took me out of it a bit. But Christopher Walken was a good Max Zorin. I liked his weirdness. I liked that even though the movie was campy, like he was fun. There were some fun scenes. I feel like there was like fire truck, chase kind of deal. So there was some stuff in there that was redeeming. They fought on the Golden Gate Bridge at the end. The henchmen, they had the guy with the monocle, and the other guy with the scar. I can't remember his name, but they were trying to like light a piece of dynamite, and then the thing shifted and fell back, and they both blew up. And so it was fun. And then Mayday actually changed. She flipped whenever Max like decided to kill everybody that was working for him, and just escape, which whatever. And then she sacrificed herself, getting out. And I remember at the beginning too, there was the horses stuff. He was selling horses, so James had to go to the horse farm. It was like this big, beautiful place with stables. He had this buddy there, whoever that guy was, who was pretty fun, and that was a nice, fun little scene too. So I thought it was fine. I don't think it was like a great movie. I'll have View to a Kill like as a C to start. Boy, these are gonna flip. I can see it already. All right. Okay, we get to two that I'd never seen. Timothy Dalton I'd heard about, and I was like, I don't even associate him as being Bond. He was like before my time, really, of watching like movies in the theater or anything, or like that level of a movie. And then he only had two movies, so I was like, oh, he can't be any good, because it's like, oh, we had one, we got to do another one, and that's it. So I went into these kind of thinking, oh, this is not going to be my thing. Boy, was I wrong. These movies are fun. I really liked even the beginning of The Living Daylights. So they're doing training with a couple of other double O's. One of them gets killed. There's like people getting murdered. It was supposed to be like a paintball kind of thing, and there's people getting killed. Bond ends up, getting away, landing on the lady's boat. And I did say it was kind of weird. He's like, okay, everybody just died, but I'll sleep with you. Give me another hour. But I liked it. I liked the theme, The Living Daylights by Aha. I said it, I'm sure people hate that song, but I think it's really good. The one thing that failed it, if I didn't mention this in the other one, I don't think that the art at the beginning was that good. I think they needed, like, if you were going to do it well, you should time it better with the song and make it more dynamic, because that's a very dynamic song, and like build up the energy, because there's a lot more energy to me in a Timothy Dalton Bond than the other ones, and which is why I like it. And then the other part of this is they weave that song into the score so well throughout the movie that you always feel like both a Bond theme and Living Daylights playing as things are going on. So that's good. So then we get going with the actual plot, and there's General Orlov. I think no, that General or no, he was from the other one. What was the other guy's name? Koslov. I knew it was close, very close. So Koslov is his kind of guy. He's got to get out. I think they were in Czechoslovakia or something, and they got to get him over to the west, to Austria or some country. I don't know if it was West Germany, Austria, whatever. I'm assuming you have to go to Austria. But so anyway, yeah, they have to like extract him, put him through like this pipe to send him out. And there's a girl who's getting ready to snipe him, but it's not really going to be the case. She's like his girlfriend or something. But that's Miriam Diabo, the blonde girl in that. Like, Kara, I think is her name. So, Bond doesn't kill her. She kind of realizes, something's up, and then they talk and they figure out something's up. Then they get chased, and they've got to like trick the driver by, making her walk away, but then like getting hidden behind a car, and then they start to escape, but then they still get chased, leading them to have to like sled into Austria by throwing the case over a little, car blocker and catching it on the other side. I thought that was fun. I think that stuff's fun. And then you had more than just him. You had Whitaker, who was this crazy, like, American ex-military who thought he was like a general genius person, who was like giving weapons or getting weapons to the Afghani, the Russians in Afghanistan to fight off the Taliban, whoever was there. So they go there. They're with they're captured. They escape the prison. The guy they saved is actually one of like the main guys in a clan, and he can save them. The tribe like helps them. They end up killing the general, and then getting the plane and having to get out of the plane. They drop the I can't remember what his name is. The other henchman who's like holding onto his shoe and then falls. That was pretty fun. And then they get a jeep and that comes out of the back of the plane and drive off. At the end, he shows up to her concert in her room, and she's good. So, Living Daylights, I thought was really fun. It wasn't perfect. Like, I didn't think Whitaker was a great villain. And I didn't even mention it. Like, Bond goes to Whitaker's place and has a good fight with him, shooting guns and stuff, and then they end up actually taking him away. Like, he's the general, Koskov. They realize, they're like, dude, you're in with it, so they just drag him off. So it's not like everybody's got to die in these movies. It was a good little like gotcha moment in both the. I always like it too. It's probably in the other movies, for sure, where there's the Soviets and the American, like the Soviet guy, and I cannot remember the general's name, but where it's just like they have this understanding, right? It's like, sure, we're on opposite sides, but like, I got you. You did your thing. I did my thing. We're good. That's always a good way to play that. So a lot of fun with that movie. I honestly too, the thing I felt, and I know some people don't like her as a Bond girl. Again, it's not like Goodnight, but it's a little like, I think she has just an innocence and a charm about her that you don't have to be this like badass, especially her. Like, she doesn't have to be this badass like Bond girl that's an equal to him or anything, in fighting and all that. But she was good and like innocent, and they had some chemistry, I thought, which helped the movie like feel like he was Bond. Timothy Dalton was much suaver than I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to be just action stuff, but I bought him as that version of Bond. The only character in this who like really took me out of the movie for 5 seconds was Felix. I thought the Felix in this was just no good. So said, fine, we'll just get rid of him, and we'll switch him in the next movie. But I like this one a lot. I'm going to give it an A. Then we get to License to Kill. So License to Kill, I'm like, well, I don't know what to expect with this. Song at the beginning wasn't as good to me. It was all right. I didn't love it, but it was still pretty good. And then, we get going, and this is like just a really fun movie. I don't know how else to explain it. Like, there's a lot going on with its grittiness is maybe how I would say it. Sanchez, the main villain, is like a good villain. He's actually a pretty loyal guy. He doesn't just like screw people over. If he says he's going to do something, he does it. He's friendly to Bond for a time when he thinks he's a reputable person, and he's willing to do what he needs to do. There's some cool like side characters in this movie all over the place. A lot of good henchmen I thought that were interesting. So you had this Killifer guy who was like a DEA agent that Sanchez bought off when he got caught at the beginning. It's like, and he ends up said, we're never going to pay. Well, he takes it and gets out. You had Milton Crest, who was like the guy, the Quint. I've got my Jaw shirt on. He's like the dude that runs the aquarium / boat place or whatever around, and is helping move stuff, move money and drugs or whatever. Dario, you got the crazy Dario with his knives like going after him, dying on the conveyor belt. And then Joe Butcher, the Wayne Newton character, who's like getting on TV, kind of giving hints about what's going on with the drug trade, like prices and stuff, as like an evangelist. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, but it's super fun. The women as well. So you had Pam Bouvier, who's like a DEA or not DEA, like a CIA agent or something. I don't know which agency, but she is with Bond, kicks ass in the bar fight to get out of there, which was fun. And then you have Lupe, who's like the mistress of Sanchez, and like think she had somebody either blackmailed, or she was blackmailed to be there. Somebody was killed for her to be there. Didn't want to be there, kind of deal. So that was good. Um, my only complaint was I kind of wish he would have ended up with Lupe at the end. I know it wasn't a good decision because she's not the better girl technically, but I was like, I think I would have stayed up there and not jumped down in that pool with that other girl. But other than that, so some cool things in here. Like I said, Sanchez, awesome, like super cool villain. The freaking truck chase at the end, love that, and I love the movie Duel, which has semis in it. But that was fun. And then Milton Crest, when he gets his head blown up, I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna like kind of throw him in a thing and insinuate that he gets killed. No, they show it. They show his head explode, and you're like, what? Whoa, that was out of nowhere. So yeah, that movie was really gritty and really fun, and it was a very unexpected fun movie. So I thought Timothy Dalton did great. I felt a little bit better. I did read after the fact there was more like a licensing problem, that didn't continue. It wasn't so much just the success of his movies. Now maybe they weren't successful, but still that was why. Uh, oh, the other thing I was going to say about License to Kill, because I looked that up, was the book I think is called like License Revoked, and they just didn't think that that would fit well. But the point at the beginning is he gets his license revoked because he's trying to go on a mission to get revenge for something that he's not allowed to do. They're trying to send him somewhere else, so M's like telling him no, but he just breaks free and runs away, which was pretty cool. And then as a rogue agent the rest of the time, so that was pretty cool. All right, good deal. We're through the Dalton movies. We are now on to the Brosnan films. So Pierce was in Goldeneye, and Goldeneye was the first movie I saw in the theater. It is very memorable for me. Somebody pointed it out to me because I did forget in the other video. I'm like, where have I seen him from? He's in Mrs. Doubtfire. That's where I would have recognized him for sure. Didn't watch Remington Steele, another one mentioned, but I knew of him being in that. So, a little bit of familiarity, and then, yeah, he was in it. And of all the transitions, I just almost immediately felt like he was Bond. Like even Dalton had a little bit of the, okay, I'm trying to make sure I understand he's Bond. Brosnan kind of felt natural. He looks like him to me. But again, it was my first theater. It wasn't the first time I'd seen Bond because I'd seen some Connery and Roger Moore flicks, but first time in the theater. So I didn't know what to expect. But this movie was great. This movie had so many things going for it. There are some things that are a little dated now with like CGI and stuff where they just, I don't know that they had to do it, but I get that they did, like when they, use EMPs and they have to show like lightning effects and stuff. But man, other than that, a lot of the practical effects and stuff are really fun, like the tanks that they use, and, Bond. Just all the locations that he's in. And granted, because I played GoldenEye 64, you remember the dam and you remember all these other things. But at the same time, like I thought they did a good job of just like keeping it fresh in all the locations they're at. The characters were great in this. So you had so many strong characters that did not like steal the show from each other or like overwhelm, all the way from like Boris just being this annoying computer nerd, arrogant nerd, to having a relationship with Natalia who, doesn't necessarily love him, but like cares about them, cares about all the people there, you can tell. And then they all get killed. And so she's like distraught, but has to escape. So she figures a way to get out. You had Xenia, obviously awesome. Urumov was great. And then Trevelyan was an awesome villain. All the setup with the facility and, Bond ruining it by setting the timer to 3 minutes, Sean Bean getting killed and then getting killed again. later on the satellite. Super fun. So a lot of great things here. The only issues I had with like the CGI was the song wasn't that great at the beginning. Didn't really get me into it. Um, the ending was kind of dumb. The not on Bond's part, but it's the whole CIA guy. Was it Baker or whatever his name was? Where they have all the agents like hiding in the shrubs, and they come out while they're like starting to fool around. And it's like, dude, what did you not see the thing blowing up? Like, do you not think maybe we should get in there and help, or like something's going on? Do we need to radio in? So I was like, what? I mean, it's funny, I guess, intention, but I'm like, man, you should have just written that in a different way. But other than that, that's nitpicking. Like that's a really good movie. Tomorrow Never Dies, second one. This is, I don't know if I mentioned this in another one. This is a funny one for me because I did not originally see this in the theater like immediately. So I waited for a while. And one day we went to the theater, and we used to just like go to the theater and you watch whatever's on. And it was on a small theater. So I was like, oh yeah, we didn't see the new Bond movie. So we go see Tomorrow Never Dies. Later, after we get out of the movie, we are like, oh, we might as well stop at the movie store on the way home and see like what's on or what's out. The movie had already come out on like VHS, and I was like, or DVD or whatever the hell it was at the time. But it's like, what is how how has it been on at the theater so long here in a small town? But that it was already out on so kind of wasn't aware that I had missed it for that long, however long that was. But so saw it at the theater still. When I first watched it, it was definitely a different experience. Like I came out of it thinking that was all right. That was all right. I liked some things in it, and it was all right. On rewatch, it's all right. It's all right. There were some things again that I liked about it, and some things I probably didn't like as much, and probably honestly some things I liked about it that other people don't. Um, so number one, the Terry Hatcher presence in this movie, I think was criticized. I remember being criticized at the time. Don't really get the hate for that. It's she's not distracting to me in the movie. Like she's an elegant girl and has a love for Bond, and maybe they should have had more set up as to why they had such a deep relationship before, and then she gets murdered. But I felt like there was a weight to that. I like those movies where there's a weight to it, um, a death, and I thought she had that, and so I was fine with it. The other girl, was it May? No, Wei Lin, um, was really good as like a side agent, but I did not buy the love story at all, like or the attraction stuff with that at all. So that was kind of out of place. I wish they would have just left it as like, yeah, she's just a freaking badass agent that's kicking butt in this boat. Uh, so that's neither here nor there. You got Stamper as like a side henchman, the classic blonde, big, burly guy. Does have a little bit more to do, but not a whole lot. He was all right. And then Elliot Carver, the over the top media mogul for the Times, was maybe okay, but he's kind of annoying to me. And then the one guy who I thought was pretty interesting, and he was only in it for a little bit, was Kaufman, Dr. Kaufman, the assassin who had Bond, dead to rights. But again, you have him dead to rights, make him dead, not sit there and have a 50-minute conversation with him. But that's just part of what Bond is. But I thought that character was pretty interesting. That said, I don't think Tomorrow Never Dies is a very good movie. It's like okay, it's got good action. The scenes and stuff were fine. Some of the chases I didn't think were as great. Like there was like the motorcycle chase. Yeah, it was fun, but I wasn't like all that into it. So it was okay. Um, I don't really remember either the plot, like the more than him just trying to like take over the airwaves to start wars, and like it was another one of those like The Spy Who Loved Me, where you're this the Chinese are attacking the British, or the British are attacking, so therefore go to war, and it's like, oh, see guys, it's not us, it's somebody else pretending it's us and putting media out there. So I guess warning us of fake news, which yep, it's here, we lost, whatever. So next one, The World Is Not Enough. I saw this when I was younger, but I don't remember. I think it was in the movie. I think I saw all the Pierce Brosnan ones at the theater. Uh, I remember seeing this and thinking, yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. It's okay. Um, Kind of the same sentiment again. The it didn't really do anything different. The one thing I will call out, the song is okay. It's pretty good. Like Garbage, I think was the band, and I don't listen to Garbage. I do listen to bad songs, but not Garbage the band. And they were pretty good. It kind of flowed into the film. There was a fun chase to start the movie. I liked the initial like chase scenes. I thought they were pretty interesting. The problem is a problem that a lot of people reference. I did think Denise Richards took me out of the movie. Like her character, it's not necessarily her fault. It's just the American girl in the Soviet Union or Russia disarming bombs, like nuclear stuff, and just the way that like her demeanor was and how everything was like, and everybody around her, just it didn't feel like it fit, and it was weird. So that was kind of strange. But like the Electra King stuff, moderately interesting. Somebody gets kidnapped, her dad doesn't pay the ransom, she gets this vendetta. You got Renard, the dude who can't feel pain because he got shot and has bad taste in his mouth from it, and is going to get revenge, but he's also like going to do all this take over the world stuff or start wars. This is okay. A lot of the pipeline stuff and deals. I mean, there was some decent thought there, but I don't know that it ever really paid off. Um, is okay. The main villain Renard, I didn't really like care about either, like what he was doing. Electra was a little more interesting, but ends up getting taken out. So there's nothing in this movie that really like screams to me. I thought Brosnan was fine in it, just like Tomorrow Never Dies. I mean, I thought he was fine. I just don't know that he could do enough to like really make this movie good. So I'm gonna have this down in the C category as well. All right, Die Another Day. We start out with a terrible song. The Madonna song is like practically unlistenable to me. It's auto-tuned crap. Um, then we get to the opening in Korea. So he's got the diamonds. He's trying to pretend he's this other agent or this dealer. It always cracks me up in these Bond movies. Like he never disguises himself really, other than trying to be Japanese that one time. Maybe another time, but it's like in the clown and the Japanese. Um, but it's like, how do you expect with all the technology, especially like as we get farther along, for somebody not to just recognize you? Like, yeah, it's James Bond, and they do most of the time, right? But this was an example where they didn't necessarily recognize him; they just did once they used the phone to like scan his face and all that. So that was kind of weird. But then they catch him, and he uses this gadget to blow things up. Um, Gets diamonds in that guy's face, and then the other one chases him on the thing. They're going super fast on these hydrofoils. The guy's dad, the general, is like seeing something blow up in the distance. It's like, oh, you're gonna kind of have to get there. But they go through this like fast chase scene. There's mines and stuff blowing up around him, and they get to this end, and he essentially knocks the guy over a cliff to a supposed death. But then immediately turns around like his dad and everybody else is there. I'm like, if you were going, how fast were you going? And then were these people going like 5 times faster and they don't hit any mines on the way here? Like, I didn't know how they showed up so fast. But anyway, the guy survives and ends up becoming Gustav Graves using gene therapy, changes his face. He studied at Oxford so he can do a great British accent, and he becomes Gustav, who's a playboy, jet setter kind of character, arrogant, and all this stuff. Um, so he just kind of talks to Bond. They go to the club. They have the sword fight, which was kind of cool. Madonna's in it. It's like she better in the movie than in the song, I will say. I thought. Then you have Miranda Frost, who's like the frosty other agent in MI6, and she's the one who Bond's out of line and like he needs to get in line kind of thing. Well, she's actually working with Gustav because they were on the fencing team together in college. Again, I think there has to be more reason than that. I just didn't pick it up. But then the Bond girl's Halle Berry got Jinx, coming out of the water. Um, she took me out of the movie a little bit too. Again, not necessarily a Halle Berry problem. It could be a script problem, and this movie wasn't very well written from a script standpoint either. So it was okay in that regard for her. But then there's like dumb scenes at the end where she's like sword fighting and they get the art of war and like stab the girl in the chest. And I'm like, this is kind of dumb. And then Gustav has the big ice laser thing. Bond has the invisible car that new Q gives him. I haven't even talked about the other characters, but yeah, Q has gone, the old one, and new one's here. But yeah, so I didn't really like it. On rewatch, it was worse than I remembered when I watched it the first time. I wouldn't really care to watch it again. I don't think that's a very good movie either. So tough run of Brosnan movies there for me. That some may move up a little bit, but we'll see. All right, now we get to Daniel Craig. The main overarching theme here is Daniel Craig is just not James Bond to me. Like, no matter how much I tried, no matter how much I watched again and tried to like cut it a different way, I'm like, he's just not James Bond. He's a perfectly capable agent. I'd rather him be like 008 and have his own movies and be 008. It's fine. So, that said, we go into Casino Royale. Now, when I first saw Casino Royale, I liked it. I did. I even though he wasn't Bond to me, I liked it. It wasn't perfect. There were things I was like, what, little gimmicky things that I don't think were necessary. Like Le Chiffre, I think is a perfectly fine villain. Mads Mikkelsen was fine in it. You don't need little like his tears bleed things. Like I don't need that stuff. You just let him be good as being menacing. But I did like the plot, like the concept, and I know it's based off the original book, like the first book in the Bond series. So it's like that's good. Like I'm glad they went back to some of those roots. It was grittier. The action was good. He's a better fighter. It really feels like the Dalton era kind of set this up to be like this, and I would have liked the Dalton movie to be even a little more like this. But on rewatch, I'm also a little jarred by some of the scenes being too much. There's an awesome chase scene at the beginning when the guy he's running, the bomb maker, and he's running after the bomb maker and doing all the parkour all over the place. Really well done, fun action scene, lot going on, and I just felt like it was too long. Watching again, I'm like, okay, how much longer are we going to jump around and get to resolution? Now, some people may love that stuff, and that's totally fine. But for me, I was just like, all right, let's get stuff going. Where I get more into the movie is like, oh, the relationship of him to, Felix and to Vesper and to this, and like, what's the social dynamics going on here? And like, when's something going to snap? So when like the African guys come and try to get the money from Le Chiffre and then they're out in the hallway and they see Bond with the earpiece and they go attack and he kills them. Like, good stuff. Like that's tension moving and just kind of getting to a resolution. So I liked all that stuff. I thought that, I tried to go into this too, almost not liking Vesper as much because I'm not like a huge fan of the actress and some other things I've seen or whatever, and she's just okay. But she was good in this movie. She just really was, and like I enjoyed the character. I thought she did a really good job for what the character's supposed to be. She made you feel like she cared, but she was flawed and she had her own personality. Like Corks wasn't sold on Bond, had these other things. And you also have to remember, like in the back of her mind, she's got the crap in her head that's really bothering her. Like her husband or boyfriend or whatever is like gone and they kidnapped him. It wasn't real. Like he screwed her over. But in her mind, that's the thing. And then she kind of falls in love with Bond. And then, over time, she still does what she needed to do with the money and takes it and then ends up realizing I just got to kill myself and dies, or let herself die, whatever you want to call that. And then Bond loses her, and it feels like there's some weight to it. I mean, that's well done. That's an executed, well executed movie. So I thought it was really good the second time I watched it. The song at the beginning, it's not the best. It's okay. Chris Cornell I like a lot, but it's just not the best song. Um, but yeah, it's a really good movie. I like the other girl in it, the Solange girl at the beginning. They killed her off too. The Demetrios, the side characters. I really like the truck chase scene before they blow up the airplane, where he tracks him down. Like that stuff's really good. So Casino Royale will be up in the A category. All right, Quantum of Solace. Um, First of all, the song's terrible to start the movie. Was it Alicia Keys and Jack White or something? Just couldn't, again, like Die Another Day. I'm just like, okay, get past this part so I can start the movie. Um, it was a really short movie. Was something I remember. I was like, what? Why am I already done? Like most of these movies are about 2.5 hours or 2 hour 20 minutes, something like that. This one felt like it was an hour and 45 minutes. I mean, solid 30 minutes or so short. And it was short. I felt it was kind of boring. There wasn't much to it. The girl was boring. She was fine, but she's boring. She did have a decent story, and it just didn't really pay off for me. Where the general, whatever the Madrano was had killed her mom and sister, raped them or something when she was young, and she was trying to get vengeance. He's leading this country, Venezuela. I keep forgetting, but then Dominic Green is trying to like get them a monopoly on water for whatever reason. But it's all trying to do these deals, and if he doesn't sign the paper, they're gonna kill him, and so he signs it. You got dumb henchmen in it that aren't very intriguing. Um, they did do like an homage to Goldfinger. They killed that one girl, Strawberry Fields, with oil instead of gold, but for realizing she was an agent. So tried to have some weight with it there, and then at the end, they're at this like desert solar or whatever fuel tanks they have in there that Bond shoots on the way out and blows things up. But again, not much to this movie. There was kind of a cool scene where they're like at the opera and Bond's listening, in, and finally interrupts them and is like, "Hey, you guys just made," and they'll start kind of walking out when they know they're caught. It's like the Epstein files today. But that's about the only thing that was kind of memorable to me. The villain himself, Dominic Green, was very just forgettable. He wasn't bad, like the actor and thing wasn't like super bad, um, but he just was boring. So Quantum of Solace again is down in the seas. All right, Spectre. So or no, sorry, Skyfall. Skyfall is before Spectre. I don't know why that's out of order there. Skyfall. So Skyfall is a good song to start. Adele, it's a pretty good song. I think it was like really well acclaimed. I think it was good. I don't know that I'd go that far. Um, this movie was not very good on my second watch. I watched it the first time in theaters and I was like, oh, that was different and kind of cool in some ways. On rewatch, not so much. Um, the song was good. You get started. I thought it was boring. Like it just didn't have enough action or something. The villain was fine. Raul Silva was fine. Javier Bardem was fine. Probably could have even done more with him. Like I think the actor was probably the right pick, but they could have done something else more with him. But he's the agent they kind of sold out when they gave Hong Kong to China and the British and that deal. Um, and he was menacing and crazy and weird and wanted revenge on M. All fine. Like, okay, interesting plot. There wasn't really, to me, a Bond girl in this that much. Severine was in it, who took him to the island, and then she gets shot. But it wasn't like a huge presence in the film. They do the whole like Bond trying to shoot, but he had been shot at the beginning, and that was a whole thing. We'll get to that. But yeah, so then Silva just shoots her himself, and then Bond starts kicking ass and trying to get out. But yeah, the beginning. So it's actually Moneypenny, Eve, who's an agent that's trying to shoot a guy on a train, moving train that's fighting with Bond. So she keeps like, should I take the shot? Should I take the shot? And they're finally like, yeah, take the shot. Takes the shot, shoots Bond in the shoulder. Fine. Any reason you're not still shooting? As the guy slowly goes through the tunnel. Maybe it was faster than I remembered, but and then yeah, Bond somehow survives this massive fall, and then getting shot, which I didn't quite grasp him surviving that. But yeah, the fact that Eve was like, or Moneypenny was an agent, and then later on ends up like backing down. And then you have Q, who's like a younger hipster type Q. I didn't really like him in the movies all that much compared to the old Qs, and I didn't like the amount of attention he had to get. Uh, to go back a little bit, that's one of the things I really liked about License to Kill too. Not the second movie that was never made, but as well. License to Kill, when he was a rogue agent, Q came and helped him out in the field. I think Moneypenny might have went, or somebody else as well. And so that was really cool to see him like, help him as a rogue agent. This was a Q that I think was like incompetent in a lot of regards, like letting a virus go into the computer from Silva when he's captured, and he intentionally gets captured so he can take him out. Kind of dumb. Then the end, you have M, Judy Dench, who they're trying to like save from this guy, so they take her to where he'll never find. They take her to where they'll never find her. She is in Scotland. They're in Scotland at Skyfall, I guess is what it's called, Bond's old home. We start to get this like backstory of, oh, this is where he was, whatever, why, I don't really care. And then he got this housekeeper or caregiver guy who I thought was fine. The guy did fine in his role. He was like a charming guy. He'd be fine in another movie. But I'm like, why is this the last stand? Why are we doing Home Alone? Like, setting booby traps for these guys who are going to come with the military when you are literally in like the British intelligence. How can you not have some more support, or at least feign that you have no support, and then let them come in and kick everybody's ass? I don't know. Anyway, and it's up dying. It's like the big thing, and so you get a new one. But yeah, I just did not care for this movie all that much either. It's not a rewatchable movie to me. Like, I wouldn't care to rewatch this. So I'm gonna have it down in the C. All right, Spectre. The Bond theme was good in this, but man, that song sucked too. This Sam Smith song, again, got a lot of accolades from what I understand. Did not like it. Um, Very annoying. So in this, Madeline Swan is the girl. It's like a key thing because she is a girl, like a psychologist that Bond has to. Um, she's Mr. White's daughter. He's got to go kind of explain to her about Mr. White killing himself and everything that's going on, trying to figure out like what is Spectre? How do I go find Spectre? I've got this little like octopus ring thing. How do I get to this? Um, Lucia was a part of that toward the beginning with the widow, where she was like he slept with her after the funeral, the guy that died. So that was another one. She was good. I like that, and I thought Swan was fine. Like, great, no, but fine. Like, for the role where you're trying to make the movie like morose and blah blah blah, it was tonally fine. I don't know if I would have cast her if it was a different like tone, but anyway, that's in there. And then you have Spectre, where he goes to the building. At the beginning, he had like blown up a bunch of Mexico during the Day of the Dead, and that was the guy that died that Lucia was a husband of. But she helps him get to like Spectre. He goes visit Spectre. He is in this weird ass room, giant table, all the people talking, like one by one. Good luck with that. I can't even have like a meeting where, people in the room don't talk all the time off to the side. But yeah, everybody's quiet and just staring in that movie or in that room. And then Blofeld walks in. So yeah, Blofeld, and he's being intimidating. And then he, gets a guy to Mr. Hinks to come in, and who takes out and kills a guy, squishes his eyes in. and then looks up at Bond and says, "I know you're here." Well, yeah, we know he's here because the guy knew who he was when he walked in the door. So, you know, kind of dumb to me. And then you get to the whole Spectre story. Like Blofeld is freaking Bond's foster brother or something, and like was resentful that Bond got more attention than him when he was a kid. So dumb. Just whoever wrote that was so stupid. And then the going to Spectre and like walking around and just like, here's how everything works. And then Bond's in the chair and getting tortured, and then Swan ends up kind of saving him. But it's like, what? Why is he in a chair you can even escape from? Like, people are around. It's not like he's in the room alone. First of all, second of all, people are around. There's like needles and stuff all over the place. Like, what are we doing? But he does, and then ends up, blowing up part of the building, and it blows up part of Blofeld's face, which you see later. Um, all that stuff. Blows up the facility, and gets out. I just did not like this movie. There was the guy within the service, I think, who was trying to um, get the worldwide security system stood up max, which I thought was fine because he had like this M rivalry, and M took him out, which was okay, somewhat interesting, to foil that plan. But like, that was it. It's like, oh, we want to be able to see where all the security services and what they're doing and control them. Okay, got it. So I did not like Spectre. I'm gonna give it a C, and then we'll get to No Time to Die. So I'd never seen No Time to Die. We are at the end of the Daniel Craig era, for sure. The song at the beginning was somber, was not terrible, was just very somber. Uh, Rightfully so for the tone of the movie, I suppose. We have kind of the betrayal beginning where we think Swan screwed over Bond and he realizes it and it's like, oh crap, here we go again. Like, I lived through this Vesper thing. I know what that's like, and you just did it again. So he separates himself. They go away for 5 years or so. She ends up having a kid, and then the whole thing's like, oh, is it Bond's kid or not? No, it's not, but it is. Okay. Um, there are some pointless things in here to me. I mean, the whole plot was like this nanotechnology thing where they stole it. Uh, you can like tailor it to DNA so it only kills certain people, but you can't touch them and that kind of thing. The dumb parts of this. So one, hot girl in it, Ana de Armas. She is Paloma, says an agent, and they do a little fight scene where they figure out this whole thing where all the Spectre agents get killed, and it's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then she's out of the movie. So again, another girl where you're like, why even have her in there if you're just gonna like use her for 2 seconds and be done with it? Instead, we get replacement 007, who is just not super capable. The whole time it's just this back and forth about who's really 007. Oh, now I kind of earned my respect. I kind of earned your respect. I mean, whatever. Who cares? There was an annoying like CIA, that rightfully so. It was his job. But as Logan Ash, this like Bond boy fan that turns on them and is actually working for Safin, the villain we'll get to. And he is killed when Bond lets a car crush him. So, okay, fine. The main villain, Safin. So, the most like boring villain, like constantly talking slow, philosophical, blah, 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 blah. It's like, just be done with it. That's the guy who kills James Bond. He shoots him at the end, and then Bond like gets him, but then Bond has to try to get off the island, but he has the nanotechnology in him that's going to kill Swan. He had it in him earlier where he killed Blofeld in a cell. So he knows he can never see them again, so he just kind of is willing to sacrifice himself as these planes come in and bomb these missiles. And there's no doubt about it, the missiles landed on his head, so it's not like you said, oh well, maybe he got away. um, but I'm like, real, like, what? I mean, if you're really gonna die and you're gonna die there, fine. But otherwise, why wouldn't you just like go off the island and then like not touch them? You could just move away. I mean, you didn't see them for 5 years anyway. Um, But hey, that's just me. But yeah, maybe he was going to die. I think I've, seen him survive worse. He fell off a freaking bridge after getting shot. But anyway, I did not like that film either. So I'm going to have that down as a C. So I know we're way long in this. The goal is for 2 hours for the sucker. And I think we're going to get there. So now let's split these out and actually put them where they're supposed to be. It's very hard when you see them next to each other. All right. No Time to Die is a D. Spectre is a D. Quantum of Solace is a D. Die Another Day is a D. I'll keep Skyfall there. I don't know that I feel super confident about that. The World Is Not Enough, Tomorrow Never Dies, fine. View to a Kill, I would rather watch over Never Say Never Again, I think. For Your Eyes Only, I'd rather watch. I think View to a Kill is a more fun movie, so I'm going to have that there. All right, we have Octopussy, Moonraker, Man with a Golden Gun. I can move Man with a Golden Gun down a little bit. Of these, I will move On Her Majesty's Secret Service down. Okay. Are there any of these that I have like higher? Live and Let Die, I think, is higher. I'm going to have it up toward there. Octopussy, I'm going to have higher. I don't know if it's up there. I'm just starting there. So we'll see. Thunderball was good. Again, the girls were great, but was Thunderball was the one where he had the jetpack at the beginning too. That was kind of jarring. But whatever. It's hard because I have some fun with Moonraker, even though it's not a good movie. Same with Diamonds Are Forever a little bit, though the plot. The other thing, I don't even think I mentioned this about Diamonds Are Forever. Maybe I did, but I did not like the Blofeld in it. They switched it again, and he was like this just goofy version of it, and I didn't like that. You Only Live Twice. I think I would rather watch Thunderball. Nah. It just, the water scenes get so boring. I'm going to move that down. Okay, we'll start there, and I'll just kind of run through them again. Oh, you know what I was thinking of, a scene that I can't remember what movie it's from, that I was like, that was pretty fun, pretty dumb, but pretty fun. Might have been The Man with the Golden Gun, where he's in the uh, dojo and he's fighting those people, like they fight to the death, and then the other guy comes and saves him. Was it The Man with the Golden Gun, or was it Diamonds Are Forever? I can't remember. But then the nieces come and fight, and they're really good. It might have been Connery. I think that was Connery. Anyway, it won't be a huge impact in my decision making. All right, let's think about what goes last here. Doctor No, probably. I mean, again, these are really good, so I don't want to knock it too much. I'll probably have The Spy Who Loved Me down here. I can probably move The Living Daylights down a little bit, though I enjoy the movie a lot. All right, we need to move some up. Goldeneye moves up. License to Kill moves up. Goldfinger moves up. From Russia with Love moves up. I think that's my Mount Rushmore, and my Mount Rushmore of terrible. Okay, this order's tough. Got to think about it. I think I prefer From Russia with Love over Goldfinger. I love Goldfinger, don't get me wrong. But I think I do. Um, I think I would put From Russia with Love over License to Kill. And then would I have License to Kill or Goldfinger? I think I would have Goldfinger above License to Kill. And then Goldeneye is my number one. Um, Again, a little spoiled because it was the first Bond movie I saw in the theater, but it is my favorite overall from the plot slash villains slash females slash theme, like throughout the movie, not so much the initial song, the allies in it and things. I think just all of it makes it a movie I just am totally good to rewatch and enjoy. I love that there's more of a personal relationship with the villain, like a vendetta, but they're like friends, and then there's a reason he still doesn't like James now. Because, like, he was just turning on them because he was, a Russian Cossack or something. And then when Bond, like, screwed him over with the bomb, he didn't know. But then it became more personal with James. Valentine was in it. I didn't even mention him. I love him as, like, a side character in it. So he's great. Um, but yeah, I think that's pretty close to the order. Um, oh man, I forgot like one thing to mention. I was just looking through the movies. Like, is there anything I forgot to mention? Um, I think it is the Man with the Golden Gun. No, 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 no. Didn't let that. Yeah, I think it's the Man with the Golden Gun. The next one, where J.W. Pepper shows back up, and I think I might have mentioned it in the other video, but like I literally thought, oh, how stupid, but okay that they showed him in like a cameo on vacation or some in Thailand. And no, 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 let's throw him in the movie again for like 20 minutes. Like what are we doing? But fine, still fun, still an adventure. Um, I don't know that I would move any of these up. Uh, Yeah, I think we're good. This is the order. We're going to call it that. I'm sure if I watched them again, I might move it around a little bit, but a lot of really good, fun Bond movies, and that'll wrap it up. I am going to do one more special movie. I decided I'm going to do one more, which is in an alternate universe, what would the Bond movies be? Like in what order? Who'd be playing them? What would we be doing? So I'm gonna put that one together. But this is the last we'll do of the tier lists.